Well, this episode of The Line is a little different, but really exciting for me. Dave, I think I've known you for, 5-6 years now? Maybe even more than that.
Might be.
Yep. And so I'm sitting here with a friend of mine. And, one thing when you're in the trades and you're working, especially if you're building a company, having relationships with people who have been there and done that is really essential. If you don't have that, I think that's something that it was one of the things that really helped me, being able to talk with you about things that you had done, things that you had dealt with, and honestly, even learning some things that you did that worked that I want to do, and some things that you did that didn't that I don't want to do. And so I'm excited to have this conversation, and I'm honored that you are taking the time to step up to the line here with us today.
Honored to be asked, buddy. Yep.
Really, truly am. So let's get after it, man.
Right into it.
So tell our listeners here just a little bit about, so you're Dave Hawthorne.
I am.
And you are the owner of Hawthorne Electric.
Yes.
You guys have been around for a few years now. How many years you been around?
1952.
1952. Dave and I were in a meeting once, and I said how old their company was, and I was off by 1 year, saying they were a little bit younger, and reminded me of when you're a kid, and you're like, actually, I'm 6.5.
6.5.
And he very quickly corrected me and said, we are actually 73 years old.
Yeah.
And you earned it, so absolutely.
And now it's 74.
Now it's 74.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, see? There we go.
Oh, my goodness. Almost 3/4 of a century. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Pretty impressive. And so tell us a little bit about the origins of Hawthorne and you and your role. Obviously, you didn't start it because you would have been 6.5.
Yep. Just about.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, my dad worked for Martin Electric in Elizabethtown.
Okay.
And in 1952, he decided he's going to break away and start his own company.
Okay.
And that's what he did. And as a matter of fact, John Fullerton Electric worked there at the same time, and he left in 53 and started his company. So
wow. So they both went their own way.
Two good guys from Martin Electric, and Martin Electric survived for many, many years thereafter.
Really? Wow.
So, and Fullerton and Hawthorne are still there.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, doing well. So
that must have been really something, like we're talking 1952, we're post-World War II, the greatest war that we had experienced. Like the world was different then.
Yep.
I think that, something that people don't realize today, and listen, business is hard. I'm not taking away from anybody who is a founder, but I think it's a bigger jump back then than what we have now. Like there are so many things that just with AI and technology and different things that we use today that make it easier. And there's all this knowledge, like literally at my fingertips is all the knowledge of the world.
Yep.
Yep. And they didn't have that back then.
Did not.
What do you think did you ever talk with your dad about what that was like?
Well, and it was interesting. There's a little sideline here. He was called into the ministry the same year in our church.
Okay.
We were Church of the Brethren, and they had multiple, what they called the free ministry, unpaid volunteers. They'd have 5 or 6 guys that were called as ministers, and our congregation might have been 250 or something like that. And,
okay.
And he got called into the ministry the same year he started his business.
Oh, my.
And it's just like, I think about the word capacity and how we tend to get overloaded, sometimes by choice, sometimes not.
Yeah.
But it's been a little bit amazing to me see how I see, and I'm not busting on the younger generation at all, but I see a different expectation when it comes to capacity. It seems like, not you would be an exception, but it's just like, I see a lot of people that are kind of maxed out with a 40-hour work week.
Yeah.
Don't want overtime. Now, some of that is, I think, maybe they're brighter than we were when it comes to finances and overload and over-expectation and keeping up with the Joneses and all that stuff that we got caught up in. You not so much. And, my grandkids not at all. This is a totally new world.
Well, I'm really blessed. I'm a child of the '80s, and the reason I said I was talking to my wife about this the other day. I'm one of those. My generation is a bridge generation, and is what I mean by that is when I was young, the phone was still attached to the wall.
Yeah. With a spiral cord, right?
Exactly. I mean, it literally had a not push button, a dial that you had to turn. And there were other nicer phones out there, but we didn't have that.
Yep.
And I was talking with my wife about this the other day. I was like, our children have never lived without the internet. They've never experienced that.
Nope.
And we are so blessed to have experienced life this way. Like I can remember going on road trips. Just bear with me here. And we had a map. I remember one in particular. We were helping my aunt. She was moving from Pennsylvania, and her family was moving to Montana. And this was like a huge deal. Her husband was a doctor, and he got to be hired to be a doctor in this little town in Montana, which was like a big deal because they didn't have a doctor. Like he was their everything.
Yep.
And we were traveling, and I remember being in the U-Haul with my dad, and it was like a caravan of cars. And we had CBs, and we had maps. And if you don't know what a CB is, it's like a two-way radio.
Citizens Band,
yes.
Right? There it is.
My goodness, you are welcome. I never knew that's what it was.
Citizens Band radio.
Awesome.
Yep.
And we were just outside of Chicago, and I remember, we had these maps, and that's how we were driving across the country.
Yep. And
my mom and some other people were in another vehicle, and we missed the exit. We got separated. And so we're on the CB, and you get out of range, and then all these truckers came on and helped us find our way back together.
Wow, that's cool.
And so that was a different time. And it was scary because it was like, how will we ever find you?
Yeah.
Because there was no cell phone, so it wasn't like you could go call and be like, oh, I'm just going to find you. Like we don't think about those things.
No.
Like I love to go for a drive every now and then and not take my phone.
Okay.
Because
you're a wild man.
Well, it's crazy because we don't think, only because I was somewhere once, and actually I was in Philly on a job, and my phone died. And I had no way to charge it, and I had no idea how to get home.
Yeah.
And there was a time where I would have known how to get home, and it irritated me.
Yep.
So anyway.
Well, and I'm a guy that travels a lot. And
yes,
I think GPS is probably the greatest invention since the wheel. But
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, sliced bread maybe's in there, but
well, you talk about capacity, and you talk about that with young people. And do you think? And I'm not trying to consume the conversation, but you strike on something. Do you think it has to do? Do they feel the way that they feel about the 40-hour work week because they have so many other things in front of them?
Yeah. I call it noise, but yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Noise.
Lots of noise.
Wow. Your dad didn't have as much noise when he started.
Nope.
It just was a lot harder.
Yep.
I've seen pictures. I wanted to ask you, but you asked me when we first set this up, do I need anything? And of course I said, no, you don't need anything. And then I wanted to text you this morning, but I didn't, because then I thought it would make me look like I was a jerk. For you to bring a picture of your dad, because I've seen pictures of him standing beside his truck.
Yeah.
And
well, my waterfall.
Yes.
Were you out there?
No, you've never allowed me to come to your home.
That's not
Actually,
true.
that's not true.
That is
that's
not true. Nope.
I've never been outside your home.
Okay.
I was inside your house.
There
That's
you
right.
were. But you weren't down by the truck and the statue and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I think about that and where he was and what it was to start that business. Like even buying a truck like that was a huge investment.
Brand new panel truck. 1952 Chevy. Yep.
So what do you think was going through his head when he made those decisions?
I don't know. I think he was always an adventurer. That's I mean, I got the travel bug from him and curiosity, and I think and he was a servant leader. I mean, I think he probably felt that, not that he could do it better than his boss, but he could do it just as well and be an employer, hire people and serve people. And my guess is it was that.
You use that term servant leader. Can you do me a favor, just for those that are listening? Define that for us. What does that mean to you to be a servant leader?
I think for my dad, he kind of showed me how to lead by leading and by just serving people, and that's where that element of the church work, which I totally hated, by the way, because I never saw my dad except for supper time. I mean, he was doing business work. We were working out of our house.
Wow.
So my mother was his secretary, and he worked all day long, and then at night he had church meetings most every night.
Wow.
So
that's a lot.
At about 18, I was ready to exit the church.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, well, I don't mean to get actually, I do mean to get personal.
Well, yeah, why not?
I do.
Go for it.
Sounds like you were angry.
I was. Yeah.
Talk about that.
And then I turned around and did it the same thing to my sons.
I
mean, if
you're touching on something there.
If we ever get into what mistakes did you make, that was it. That was one of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you think that so you touch on something there, like you did the same thing. How do we avoid that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things I didn't learn quick enough was learning how to say no. And sorting out. I wasn't doing bad stuff, I was just doing too much good stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like,
I hear you.
And sorting the best from the better, it came late in life. It was a time in the thick of it. I was on 13 boards. 13. Yeah, running a business and 6 real estate partnerships. And
you're a high achiever.
And is that capacity? See, that was that arrogant high capacity. I can do all things, and
interesting.
Not so well. You got to give something up to get what you want to get, and that's where I think maybe the younger folks have got this. They don't necessarily keep score by, how many boats you have and your beach house and all that stuff. That I kind of didn't grow up with that. My parents were depression kids, and so, and my dad made everything the hard way, and we're on vacation. We never stayed in hotels.
Really?
We didn't eat out in restaurants, and my mom did all the cooking, and so
no, that is unheard of today.
Yeah,
that is unheard
of. Just a totally different world.
Well, I think that's an interesting thing about history. And I was just talking about someone with this the other day. We were talking about hardship in life and in business because they're the same. And I was talking about what he was going through and just how if you haven't been through it, you can't understand it. You can't experience it.
Yeah.
And I think about the Great Depression, and my grandfather had lived through that, and it's really interesting. My grandfather never threw anything away.
Yeah.
Never threw anything away. There was always a use for it. There was always. And I don't think that I can ever understand what that world looked like. And we live in America. I've heard this a few times over the past 2 years. But if you're in America, you're in if you make $33,000 a year, which isn't a lot, you get paid $15-16 an hour. That's $33,000 a year.
Yep.
And if you make that, you're in the top 1% of wealth in the entire world. And in America, we would say, how do you live on that?
Yeah, take that in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's poverty level, I think, in America. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, and so, and I think part of why where we are is those people who were in the Great Depression who were like, not again. And so you had these men who went to war, came back, and were like, we are changing this world that we live in. Like, I mean, you experienced the Great Depression, and then you experienced, I did my thesis in high school on World War II, and so I did a lot of study about Hitler and the Nazis, and I would say they went from the Great Depression to pure evil and fighting it in a way that I don't think, I've never served in the military, I can't comprehend that, but they go from that. No wonder that your dad was the way that he was and doing what he did, because he was fighting the battle every day. And You talk about being on, you said 13 boards?
Yeah.
Wow. And you talk about even your dad and how he worked. I think when we have those wounds of pain, whatever he experienced in the Great Depression, whatever he experienced living through, being alive during World War II, I don't want to say that I understand, except it doesn't surprise me that he is wired the way that he was to do what he did. And I don't know that I would have done any better. What do you think? You talk about learning to say no. What does that look like? Because I've been asked to be on boards, and I'm be a little revealing about myself. It feels good when people ask you things like that. It's like, oh, I'm important enough to ask to be on a board.
Very, very seductive.
Yeah, good word.
It's very seductive, and God built me to be a server, got me to be an encourager, but He also built me with a need of having, one of my love languages, words of encouragement, words of affirmation.
Yeah.
And to have somebody, and these were, it was a lot of them were nonprofits.
Yeah.
But the Mellon Bank Board and others, it's like, well, I get to surround myself with some players.
Yeah.
And it was incredibly helpful.
Wow.
And I've been blessed in my life to have a lot of elder mentors.
Yeah.
And younger ones now, but it's essential. It was, looking back, it's probably the smartest thing I did was surrounding myself with guys that a lot smarter than me and had walked the same track. Sometimes a couple of them were competitors, and it just, looking back, that was a real life shaper for me. And part of the problem was I was moving 100 mile an hour, but so many of these people on these boards were going 150. So I thought I was in the slow lane, buddy.
Yeah.
Really, it's just like, wow, you kind of become who you hang with. That's...
Yeah. Well, I think Dave Ramsey says, you do become who you hang with. And he's like, so pick people with money if you want to get out of debt. He's like,
well,
and not that they're going to give it to you, because they won't.
They won't.
But you will learn how to get it.
Yeah. And they'll show you how not to lose it.
Boy, that's an important one. I haven't figured that one out yet.
Well, I know we've got stories, right?
Yeah.
But it just because they have them.
I did a podcast with a gentleman, has his own fabrication business, and very much wired like your dad, achiever, and he's probably in his 40s, and he said that he learned about saying no. You talk about that. And he goes, well, the fact of the matter is that I was saying no. When I wouldn't say no to this job or to this opportunity or to this or to this, I was telling my wife and my children no. Yeah. And it hit me like a brick in the face. And I was like, wow. And that changed my perspective on saying no, because you're saying no to somebody because there's only so much time in a day.
And that's, it's priorities, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. And you're not literally saying no, but you are by default. It's just like saying yes to something else, so you have to say no.
So
you can't go back and fix that, but I can sure talk to guys about it.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I like hanging around younger guys like you that.
Oh, you called me younger.
That actually ask questions, right? This is. I think one of the things I did early on was try to shut up, which is more difficult for me now, but ask some questions and then get quiet for a while. So
yeah, I had you talk about that. I actually think listening and getting quiet for a while is one of the most powerful tools. Yeah. In so many ways. But I hear you. I'm the same way. If you don't, I had a meeting the other day, and a team member is there, and we're going to have a creative meeting with a client where we're going to, I'm going to be presenting to them, and we're going to be talking. He goes, well, how do you want me to do this? He goes, I don't want to interrupt you. And I looked at him and I said, if you don't interrupt me, you might not get a chance to say anything. I was like, you just got to do it, man.
Yeah.
So I hear you. You've been writing stuff down there.
I'm just jotting notes.
Just jotting notes.
When I'm listening to a lecture or sermon or whatever, I'm constantly writing notes. That's how I stay focused.
So I don't know if we said this earlier, and I think it bears saying again. If you heard it earlier, I apologize. But and if it's okay with you, I want to acknowledge something about how long you've been on planet Earth.
Okay.
Can I say to our listeners, 3 weeks from now, is that all right if I say that?
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, this goes out on the internet.
Okay.
And some people listen. 3 weeks from now, you're going to be 80 years old.
That's the plan, Lord willing.
That's the plan.
Lord willing.
So
Yeah.
you talk about saying no. You talk about mentorship, and you talk about your dad. The business is now 74 years young, and you guys are doing different things now in business than you did before.
Yes.
Different things than when he started in your house. And I want to talk about that. But before I do, I want to ask you a question, if I could. What's a tool or a piece of gear that Dave Hawthorne doesn't want to leave the house with that affects your life in a positive way that you need and you use?
That's a good one. That's a good one. It's this thing right here, unfortunately.
Now,
The devil in disguise in some regard, but...
he's holding up his phone for those of you who are listening.
And oh, by the way, I retired so many years ago. This didn't exist in 2002 when I retired from our company.
Wow.
So this was not a tool that even existed.
Interesting.
And my answer would have been way different 25 years ago.
What would your answer have been 25 years
That's
ago?
a great question. Man, I don't process stuff real fast.
That's okay. We have all the time in the world.
I have to think about
you
that a
take
little
your
bit.
time. Like, I don't know if you ever watched a Sean Ryan podcast, but like he always tells people, because we have all the time you want.
All right.
Dave's like, I don't even know what a podcast is.
Yeah, I know. It's like I'm learning.
What would your thing been 25 years ago? Don't say a fax machine. That would just be embarrassing.
Well, it is.
There are people listening that don't even know what that is.
Well, I could tell a story about the 3M copier that we got in like year 3 of my employment.
Wow.
1972 or 3, something like that.
Wow.
Copy machine. It was actually a 2-part thing. It had a pink. You don't even know this.
No.
But
my goodness.
Prior to that time, I was going to. I was the estimator back in those days.
Yeah.
And I was the estimator the whole time of my duration there. And I'd go to architects' offices and copy off spec books.
Wow.
And at some point in time, you were allowed to buy sheets. Like $1 or $2 a sheet for, you buy the plot plan and the electrical plan and a couple other notable things, but I'm copying down physically the fixture schedule and the panel schedule and all that.
Wow. Like
hours and hours and hours sitting in an office that wasn't mine.
Do you remember, I was just talking about this a few weeks ago, plan rooms? Like I used to go to people's, and they had a room.
Yeah.
Dedicated to people that would, you would go there and you would lay out the plans, do your takeoffs in their office.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you say your one thing is your phone. It didn't exist back then.
Yeah.
Tell me why. And by the way, I saw that beautiful picture on your home screen there when you picked it up.
Oh, my lovely wife.
Yes.
Yeah, this really, to answer the question, this is a tool that I immediately thought that when you ask the question, if it's got to be a tool, it's that.
Yeah.
And the higher view of life was, man, I'm getting closer to Jesus every day.
Come on.
And that's not a tool, but it's a tool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so, but a physical tool
So why your phone? What does it
Well,
do for you?
it basically, it's got the Bible app on it for one thing, and it's a phone, and it's a GPS, and it's, you know, the whole world it's a calculator, and it's a camera. And
I gave you crap about it earlier, and I do with people, but I saw this post online, and just because you're going to be 80 in 3 weeks, I'll tell you, there's this world online called social media. I'm being a jerk right now, acting like you don't know. But I saw this post online, and it said, you know, here are millennials working, and here is, I think it was Generation Z, which is I think my kids are Generation Z. And so the millennials were there, and they're in cubicles with their laptops, and the lights are on, and it's bright. And in the picture, Generation Z is there, and they're in a dark conference room on their phones. Yeah. And the article was about they do most of their work on their phone.
Yeah.
And now I am not as old as you. I hope that when I'm your age that I can pull off the ponytail and the nice beard. Our girl at the front desk, I said, you know, Dave is coming in today. He's going to do a podcast with me. And I said, you know, I just want you to pay attention so you can let him in. And she said, well, what's he look like? I was like, he looks like Santa Claus, except cool. So I hope that I can be there someday.
Thank you. I'm sure you will.
But I now find myself with what we're doing in technology and whatnot, my phone is a tool. Yeah. And I need to, I use it all the time. I use it more than my laptop, and I'm embarrassed about that. I almost feel like it's not work if I'm not on my laptop. Which is weird, but so I get that, and I think, you know, people get on things. You need to be able to separate yourself from it, I think. But when you look at it as a tool, then that really changes. It's not evil then. No. It's not, and quite honestly, I think most things aren't. But any time that we idolize them or they take control of us, that's when they become evil, and. So like for me, when I go home, and I've told you this, I don't know how many times, I put my phone in a drawer. Yeah. And now, if I'm going to be honest with you listening, I get in these cycles where then I stop doing it. But my beautiful wife, lovingly and sweetly, not so much, reminds me that I'm on my phone. Yeah. And it's very helpful because I want to be present. Yep. Yeah. So I understand that being your one thing. So, all right, let's get into this now.
All right.
So you talked about, and you've said this a couple of times, and we talked about your dad. We talked about how you were frustrated and angry, and actually his work ethic almost drove you to not want to pursue God, based on what you said. Yep. And then we touched on something, and you said this a few times, and I think this is really important, and I want to kind of lean into this. Mentorship. You know, I actually think that's something that you talked about older men being in your life. And listen, I don't want to leave out the ladies, but this is something that I would say specifically for men. We need men. Yep. You know, I don't think, you know, some men don't have a father figure, but even if you do, you can't have too many because none of our dads are perfect.
Yep.
And mentorship and whatnot, like you're talking about. And I know some things about you and what you guys do. And so let's just talk about for a second, when you're talking about mentorship and you're talking about those older relationships, like what are some of the relationships that you felt, how did they help you? And what are we talking about? Like you guys that were 10 years older than you, 20 years older than you, 30 years, like, talk to us about that. Mentorship.
I had one guy in particular was actually, he was called into the ministry in our church the same year as my dad.
Wow.
And I always thought of him as kind of a Renaissance man. He was a professor at F&M, and he was a farmer, and he was our insurance guy. He sold us insurance. He was a preacher in our church. And,
Wow.
And it's just like
Capacity.
And he was capacity.
Oh my goodness.
And an author, and he was doing research with some other professor in Zurich, and he'd fly to Switzerland. I'd like, man, I'd never flown in a big plane at that point. And like,
wow.
And it's like this is, and then my other uncle mentor was a missionary in Africa for 15 years. He ended up coming back and working for my dad for a couple of years, and he was a professor at Messiah College and wrote a couple books and raised orchids and built 2 airplanes. And I mean, it's like, these are the guys that I hung with. And it's like, man, I am in the slow lane here, brother.
No kidding.
It's like,
built 2 airplanes.
yeah, I mean, it's just like, this felt like normal.
Wow.
It took me a while to figure out that wasn't normal, but that's kind of, I don't know that I ever said it out loud before right now, but I was hanging around with high capacity elders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thinking it was normal.
Yeah.
So that was my normal, and I wasn't keeping up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I got a long way to run to catch these guys.
What do you think that did for you for success?
It was a motivator.
Yeah.
It just was a motivator, and all positive. I mean, these guys made mistakes too, and I made plenty. But the fact that they were there, and they carved out time.
Yeah.
To say the one in particular, where when he got old, he died at age 96 or something like that.
Wow.
But he couldn't drive toward the end, and he liked to go up to Hotel Hershey for lunch in the circular dining room. It's like, Dave, if you have the wheels, I have the meals. He'd go up, we'd go up there like once a month or once every 6 weeks and just chat.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. I was working full time at the time, but you make time for that stuff. And I think I had plenty of times where I didn't do that.
Yeah.
And I learned that early enough that this stuff, it was back in the day when you had a day timer, and I had a loose leaf thing that I could add. But if I had a 10-minute block of time, I filled it.
Dave, you talk about that mentorship, and you talk about just talking with them and being with them, and as a young man, or even you were probably in your 40s or 50s then?
That probably 30s, 40s. Yep.
30s, 40s. Okay. So what is that? So I have lived a life similar to yours, and I've been extremely blessed. Yep. With mentors in my life. I have multiple friends. My wife thinks this is funny. Most of the people that I've hung out with since I was 20 years old have been 30 years my senior, 20 years my senior.
That's interesting. Yep.
I have one friend. He's older now, maybe a little older than you, maybe close to you. And you're unique at 80 years old. You have not lost a step. But I can remember, spending hours sitting with him in front of his barn on rocking chairs, and being like, I would have a business problem, or I would have an issue, or sometimes I got to the point where my wife would say to me, hey, you just need to go see so-and-so and sit with him. Yeah. And
you called the meeting, he called the meeting, which?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. Actually, sometimes I would call the meeting, and sometimes he would call me and be like, you need to come meet with me.
Yeah. Okay.
And
did he know something?
Sometimes, and sometimes, okay, so I don't want to get weird.
Yeah.
But sometimes he sensed something.
Yeah.
Like
that's a whole different track, but we give our wives credit for having women's intuition, and for many years I don't have that, right? Wow, you do. It's just like, buddy, I think I'm getting better at that, hopefully. But your name came up like, man, I'll send you, like, what? I'm thinking about you, buddy. And it's like, or I'm praying for you, or whatever. It's just like, send a thing out, and there's.
Why do you think we need that? Because we do. Like I'm desperate for it.
Well, and it's just, we got to be tuned in. We got to be aware. We got to be present. And that's tough to do in a noisy world. And it's really tough to do when you're working. I mean, I've been retired for a while, and a lot of the younger guys, most of the younger guys I hang with are working. They got a full-time job and kids and wives and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So when I talk about spending an hour or two on my front porch every morning,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that with any arrogance at all, but what a gift, what a blessing that is.
Yeah.
To be able to be still and know that I'm God. It's just like in the noisy world, it's hard to be still.
I think that our minds need it, though. I was listening
It's essential. And that this mentoring thing, this be still time, it is not optional.
Don't you think? I heard this the other day, and men are really bad at this.
Yep.
The other day I heard that boredom isn't bad. The guy said, he goes, I was listening to this guy talk, and he was talking about boredom and how our brains actually need that, and it's the fuel of creativity. And this is really interesting, and this is why I say guys are bad at this. And listen, I'm just quoting somebody smarter than me.
Yep, that's what we do.
But he said, the problem is, as men, we view boredom as the enemy, and we got to fill that space.
Yep.
And when you talk about an hour in the morning, like maybe you have a job, maybe, I hope you have a job. Maybe you're working, maybe you feel busy, but it's like, and maybe you can't get an hour. But sometimes turning the phone off and taking 15 minutes.
Yep.
For me, that was how I started.
Yep.
And it's, what do you think that does to your mind? What does it do to your body when you do that? And you've been doing that for a while now, right?
It's been a while. Yeah.
What does that do for Dave?
Well, I picked up maybe 5 years ago. I got a gratitude journal, and that was a life changer.
Tell me why.
I've now got like a stack of them about that high. Not every morning,
Okay.
but pretty often.
And what does that mean, gratitude journal?
Well, it just I should have brought the thing along. I probably gave you one back.
You did. That's why I love talking about this, because you did. And yeah,
it's just like, this is to wake up and know how blessed we are.
Yeah.
Before we step into that noisy world, is just, it's the recognition that, thank you. Thank you for letting me wake up, having relatively good health, coming up on having an 80th birthday when I'm not sure 30 years ago, I'm not sure I was expecting to live to be 80. Now I'm expecting to live to be 111, so I got 31 more to go, but
you lived to 111, you might outlive me.
Well,
so that gratitude journal in that time, you talk about that. If you can, and I think you have some authority to speak to this. And like I said when we started, I know some things about you. I think that gratitude is one of those things. The reason it's so important is how much I believe that it's a war to fight, to know, and to express that gratitude. And like, I don't want to get too spiritual here, but personally, because of what I believe, the reality is I think that there's an entire system to make you forget and just look at all the negatives. Yeah. And some days life is hard. And I'm going to get to a question that I'm going to ask you here. And don't worry, it's not the other mile marker question, but here's my question. People are living today. There's founders, business operators, husbands, fathers, wives. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, whatever, you're dealing with this. Life is hard.
Yep.
It's really hard. And they hear you say gratitude journal. Dave, I know you've experienced some hard things in your life. Mm-hmm. What would you say to people? Like, how do they express that gratitude when they don't feel like they have anything to be grateful for?
Yeah, it's tough. That is tough. There's a scripture that I probably won't get it right, but I think it's something like consider pure joy, my brothers, when you face trials of many kinds.
Yeah, James 1.
Yep. Verse 2, I believe.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah.
Because the testing of your faith develops perseverance, and it goes on. And you don't see that until you get a couple decades past, in many cases. And I've lived a couple decades past, and now I can look back and see what good.
Yeah.
When you're in the middle of the storm, it's pretty hard to be joyful.
Yeah. How do you do it?
Well, it can make you angry. We were in a session just the other night with a couple guys, and this is real world stuff. It's talk about your band of brothers and the people that are in your inner circle, and how we're, the men of iron right down the hall here is talking about changing the world one man at a time.
Yeah.
That's a good goal.
Yeah, it is.
That is not insignificant.
Yeah.
And how do we help each other? We're in this thing together, and at the end of we're not keeping score by how many boats and pieces of real estate we have, and the end of the day, it's all about relationships. At the end of the life, it's all about relationships. And
yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, when you come to the end, you got to think about when you're having that 111th birthday party. Do you care how many boats you have?
Yeah. It's insignificant. I mean, I've been rich and I've been poor. Rich is better. I like it. I mean, it's a good thing.
But, I've been rich and I've been poor, but rich is better.
Well, and it gives you options, right? Yeah. I mean, that's
true.
And it's helpful.
Yeah.
But it's not everything by a long thing.
Would you be willing to tell us, if you don't have to, but would you, a hard day that was really hard for you to be grateful and have gratitude? And how did you do that in that moment? Because there's people out there listening right now that are experiencing that hard day. And this is mentorship.
It is.
You were there.
Yep.
Would you be willing to share with them a hard day that you had and what you did?
Yeah. I had two sons that had chemical issues, abuse issues. And it's going to be rough.
You don't have to.
Probably helpful.
Okay.
They were both in prison at the same time. At the very same time, I'm on 13 boards and running a business, and it doesn't look real good on your dad card.
Yeah.
And it was like a wake-up call.
Come on.
Yeah. It's just like, this is not my fault. But what am I going to do about it now?
Yeah.
That's tough stuff.
How'd you get through that? What'd you do?
Well, if you don't know Jesus, it's tough. I'm going to
I don't know how you do it without him.
I don't either.
I don't know how you do it without him.
We were just the other night talking to a guy. It's like, man, he's ready to jump off a bridge, literally. And I said, man, there's plenty of times I could have done that.
And
that's what I said. If you don't know Jesus, man, the noise is really dark.
And the noise is really dark.
Well, and the future's hopeless.
Yeah.
In more ways than one, but I mean we have hope in the end, and we know we win.
Yeah.
He won. So the battle's won. I mean, the war's won. The battles are yet to be fought, but and the promise in looking back, that James 1-2 piece, the consider pure joy.
Yeah.
The joy is that when I had guys multiple times in the last 20 years come to me and say, hey, I have a son that just got his third DUI. He's going to jail.
Wow.
Buddy, I need to buy you lunch.
Yeah.
This is going to suck for a while.
Yeah.
But I've been there. And you can do it. Yeah, empathy is one thing, sympathy is something else, but walking that track, like the old Indian thing, walk a mile in this guy's moccasins, man, it's just, okay.
Well, there's something for being through it. I have a friend who his father died when he was really young, and I can try to imagine, but I can't. Yep. And when you're in those situations for that dad who is there talking about his son, the reason, like the mentor, you're getting me, the mentor that I had where I would sit on the rocking chair, he would sit there and I would tell him what I was struggling with, and he would be like, I've been there.
Yeah. Yep.
And sometimes that just gave me hope that, oh, you were there and you're still here.
Yep.
You know, you gave me a gratitude journal, and I started doing that. And it changed my life too. Some days I had to write things down like my heart's still beating. And I'm embarrassed to say that because I don't have a hard life.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get confused about perspective. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it's hard for me in this situation, but when I would, and sometimes it was just, what was the one thing that I could be grateful for?
Yeah.
Writing that down, and then I would think of another, and then I would think of another. And then it was like, you know, there's a proverb that says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. And it's like, but it all depends on what you put your hope in.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. Yep.
You okay? We've been talking a little while.
You betcha.
So you were in the business for, we're just going to take a breather, come up for air from this intense stuff that we've been talking about.
Probably a good idea.
Whew, yeah. Take a breather and go back to Hawthorne Electric. So you come into the business, and are you and your dad working together, or? Yeah. So talk about that. What did that look like?
Well, the duration was, obviously I was in the business from age 6.
Spoken like everyone I've ever interviewed that was born into the trade.
There it is.
Oh my goodness,
so,
yeah.
And had my duties, and I'll tell you a quick story.
Please do.
We got a minute, right?
We do, all the time you
want.
So
I don't know how old I might have been, probably age 7, 8, something like that. And my job, the way I made a quarter a week, a quarter. That's when you could buy 5 Three Musketeer bars for a quarter. So, I mean, it puts it in perspective. But anyhow, I drying dishes for my mother.
Yeah.
If I did that 7 days, I could put I'd put strokes on a piece of paper, and then when it hit 7, she'd give me a quarter, right? So if I missed a day, it wasn't a quarter a week. It was every time you did 7 days of drying dishes. Okay.
Oh, I like your mom.
So here, I know. This is right. I mean, so my dad comes to me one Saturday morning, and he said, hey, I need a little help. I'm going out on a job, and could you come out and help me? And let's just say I'm 7, right?
Yeah.
He said, I'll pay you a nickel an hour. Whoa. So we go out at like 8 o'clock or something and get back at noon. And he said, I think all I did is hold the flashlight for him, right?
Yeah. I remember.
In a dark basement, right? Working on a panel and trying not to blow your brains out. But it's just like, we get back, and at lunch he said, boy, you did a really nice job. He said, what was that, 4 hours? 5 cents, that's 20 cents. He says, here's a quarter. I'm going to give you a 5-cent bonus.
Come on.
Like, whoa, I love this business. I just made a week's worth of wages in one morning. Let's go. And the rest is history.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
So the story was, I went off to college, and I graduated high school in 64, went to college, graduated in 68. And flunked my draft physical right in the middle of Vietnam, right?
Yeah.
Yep, right in the middle of Vietnam. And that's a whole different track there. But I had buddies that were
Yeah.
going to Canada and
Wow.
staying in college so they wouldn't get drafted. And
Wow. So you failed your draft physical, so then you're home.
so no, it wasn't. That was part
Oh.
of. I was figuring on being gone for a bit, 2 years or 3 years or whatever. So now I don't have to go anywhere. And like, man, this is like August.
Yeah.
And my roommate from college, I was living with him, and he and his mother were teachers. She says,
Okay.
"If I can get you a teaching job." I'm not qualified to teach. You don't need to be. They're desperate. They must be.
Wow.
So, yeah, within 2 weeks, I had 4 job offers.
Wow.
And about a week after that, I was teaching art at a little school in northwestern Indiana.
My goodness. Wow.
So I taught art for 2 years.
So how do you go from teaching art to ending up running the family business?
I was almost an accounting major
Okay.
and almost an art minor, which tells you a whole lot about me, right?
of almost.
Like creativity on this end and total lack of creativity on that end. So.
Wow.
But
wow.
yeah, 2 great years teaching. I would have loved to have done that for life, but boy, there's no way I could feed a family on that wage.
Yeah.
$6,300 a year or so.
It wasn't like the 25 cents an hour.
No,
Yeah.
it was a major step up, but not quite enough.
So you come home, you enter into the business.
1970
Your dad retires
and 84.
in 84.
So we were working side by side for 14 years.
Wow.
And he worked 40 hours a week right up until the day he retired on his 65th birthday.
Wow.
That's what I'd gone into his office. I don't know, he's probably 62 or something like that. And he said, "David, this isn't fun anymore."
Interesting.
I said, "Wow," because I never heard that from him.
Why do you think he said that?
He was getting tired of the BS.
All right.
We were getting into bigger work, and
Yeah.
I just remember him having a small conniption about having to bond a job.
Yeah.
He said, "You mean to tell me I've been in business all these years and I got to pay 5% to bond to say I'm going to finish and do what we've been doing for 20 years,
Yeah. Yeah.
living on my name and my reputation?" "Yeah, Dad, you do. You're going to bid in government work or whatever." And, "Well, this is nonsense."
Wow.
And then he got tired of the lawyers and every contract's 6 parts, and
Yeah.
it's just like,
Oh, he'd probably roll over in his grave.
well,
today.
and we also just bought a computer system, and he said, "We need to do this, but don't expect me." He was doing all our billing. He said, "Don't expect me to use it." And he didn't.
What foresight to be like, we need to do this, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, yeah.
And to know that, I mean, the older we get, the harder it is to learn new things. That's true.
Yep.
So-
And I didn't understand it at the time, but he was right, and it was right, but he didn't hold us back
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Just looking back, I mean, talk about servant leadership. I was 24, and he decides we're going to build a new shop. Got to quit working out of our house, right?
Wow. He was running the business out of your house that long.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
So he's like, we got to build a new shop.
Yep. He said, "I'm going to find some ground, and then I want you to design a building and build it. It's your project."
Wow.
At age 24, I mean, I graduated from college, and I think we had 4 employees, and
Yeah.
he said, "Well, you got the degree, you're trained in business, you figure this thing out. You can do this now."
Yeah.
Made me vice president or whatever, and
Wow. Now, is that the same building that I know of?
it is.
Well, look at you.
Yep.
That's been there for a minute.
Yep. 1974.
Wow. Wow.
So,
Now, you guys have figured some things out in business, and if it's okay, I'm going to talk about that for just a
Sure.
second. Hawthorne is known for industrial electrical work. Some pretty big names out there. I won't say them because you also are a little secretive about your clients because you guys live in this world where you don't really bid work.
Not so much.
So you can't see it, but he's smiling pretty big. You don't really bid work. People call you. And you don't really play around or negotiate price. You just tell them what it's going to cost for you to do the work, right?
Pretty often.
Pretty often.
Yeah. Not me personally,
but the team. The team. And that's a pretty big deal. And so another thing that I know about Hawthorne is you guys have figured something out in business, and I want to just touch on this for a minute. They figured something out where profits are, and if I'm going too far, you just tell me to shut up. But profits are what none of us in the business today would think are possible. And the reason that I talk about this is, they have profitable work. They're not taking anybody across because they're doing the work, but I worked with an old timer, one of my greatest experiences in work, and I would call him a mentor in the work. He was 75 years old. You knew Charlie, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Charlie Tennyson.
Yep.
And I worked with him, and he had eliminated all the steps, all the extras, all the waste.
Yeah.
You guys have been around for 74 years. What they have figured out to do is eliminate the waste. And I'm just saying this, and it even goes back to your dad, I think, where it's like, it's about, the reason is, and everybody says this, but not everybody gets it. Yeah. The reason is relationship. Yeah. When you have trust, and I've seen this in your company, and I've seen it in relating with you, and it's like when you have trust, it's like everybody wins.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's something that we need to get back to in the business. And we feel like it's not possible, but you guys have done it.
Yeah.
Now, and the way that you do that is you pick who you're going to work for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I want to say that because I think that's something really important that Hawthorne has done. Yep. And you guys have done that. And you've really kind of changed the way that you do things in the industry. And so that's pretty cool. And they're not doing little stuff. They're a band of brothers, as Dave would say, and they're handling projects that affect your life pretty much anywhere in the United States that you might be listening. Some of their clients are people that they work with that are affecting things that go all over our country. Mm-hmm. And so it's a pretty big deal. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, I remember when you were there, some stories about your clients. And this is, I know I'm doing some talking here, but you telling a story about your clients being like, hey, we have a project in Vegas. Mm-hmm. Will you come here and do that for us? Mm-hmm. That's relationship. When you have a client that's saying, I'll pay you to come here and do this. If you could, for those who are listening, why do your clients do that? Now, I know that's a secret.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we want to know.
Well, that particular job was for a company that, multinational, but they had a special pet project going in Vegas, and they assembled the whole team from this area. So it wasn't just us.
Really?
Yeah. And they, I forget, it was about a month-long project, and
wow.
We had guys out there for 2 weeks at a time and then home that was 3 months. It was 3 months, but home for a week and then out for 2 again. And incredibly interesting, but they trusted the crew that they had working.
There it is.
Working here, and did not, it was a unique project that had to go right.
Yeah.
It was a legacy project for one of the owner's mother, so to speak. And
wow,
this isn't going to go south in any direction. And it didn't.
Would you say a lot of your clients, they call you because of trust and this project needs to go right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yep. And our history
Yeah.
speaks for itself. I mean, we're not perfect by a long shot, but it's just like if it needs to be on time, on budget,
Yeah.
correct the first time,
Yeah.
we're your guy.
Yeah.
We're not the only one by a long
Yeah.
shot,
Yeah.
but you can count on that because we've never dropped the ball.
Yeah. At least not that you couldn't pick it up quickly.
Well, and that, I mean, honestly, we talk about that in our meetings, and
Yeah.
it's back in the day when we had monthly staff meetings with all the employees, and
Yeah.
go out to dinner and have safety meetings and kind of review of the past month and review of what's coming up and all that, and talked about how, well, we joked about if it's difficult, we can do it. If it's impossible, it's going to take a little longer. But
If it's, I love that. I love that.
But we kind of developed, and it was more than, I think it was more than a saying, but we just knew that if we served the customer properly,
Come on.
I had a proper budget. Obviously, if you're going to go out and get 6 bidders and you're going to use the lowest one, it's not going to be us.
Yeah.
So let's just cut to the chase. And if that's, I love you, buddy, but if that's your
Yeah.
plan,
Yeah.
you don't need me to bid you.
Yeah.
It's just like, because we're not going to be low anyway.
Well, it's
But-
really interesting to me what you're talking about, and I think the secret is right there, as this is something that you said in the beginning, and I actually think it bridges from personal to business into life, and that is sometimes you have to say no.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think that, what you were talking about in the beginning was saying no affects the quality of life. Saying no it does affect the quality of life, but it's counterintuitive because it's not the way that you would think it is.
Yeah.
If in life you say no to things so that you're more present for your family, it's going to affect your quality of life in a positive way. Yep. Maybe you don't make as much money as you could, but maybe that doesn't matter as much as being there.
Yep.
And in business, you want to be profitable. You want to bring that profit home. Well, who are your clients? Who are you working for? And I think you used this word earlier, and I'm gonna steal it. I think that projects can be seductive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just like a board can be seductive, and it's like if we don't say no when we should, we end up trapped in something that prevents us from getting where we want to be.
Yeah. Yep. That's pretty well said. I couldn't do better than that, but that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's another thing that I think you and I've talked about in the past is like there's a lot of cases where it's got to be either or.
Yeah.
But I also want to pursue the possibility of both and.
Yeah, come on.
And that's, I think, where we're blending all the aspects of our life.
Yes.
That earlier in life, you have a limited amount of time and a limited amount of resources, of capital, right? So you've got to allocate that stuff as best you can.
Yeah.
Now that I'm retired, I'm able to do a little more both and stuff. If I'm physically capable, I have more resources and capital available and more time now.
Yeah.
Because I'm not pulled in all these other directions. And it's a wonderful thing, and it's a neat chapter to be in.
Yeah.
And it's exciting, really.
But you're not really retired because I would say, I was just talking with my wife about this because we were talking about culture and society. And there's a desperate thing out there for young men. I mean, there's 7 million young men, not young women, young men that are currently unemployed.
Yeah.
And there are jobs for them, but they're currently unemployed. And so what you're experiencing and talking about is something that my wife and I were talking about the other night, where it's like there used to be these grandfathers that, like an old sage, so to speak, they were retired, they weren't working anymore, so they had the time to be able to pour into that young man. I was talking with a guy the other day, and he was talking about how his grandfather affected his life in such a positive way. And it was like, his dad couldn't do that because his dad was working. And we do have a job to do. We have mortgages, we have life, we have bills.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to work 40 hours a week. Your father did it till he was 65.
Yep.
Okay. But I think there's this thing that people misunderstand about retirement is we have a responsibility to get there. And to get there, and listen, you don't have to be wealthy, but you do need to be prepared.
Yep.
And to get there in a way that you can invest in that next generation in that way because you have the time to do it.
Yep. Yep.
And I don't think that you're retired because I know that you're doing that, and you're not just doing it with your family and your grandchildren, but on your property, you meet with men and invest in them, and you have a group of brothers that meet with people, and you were just talking about it earlier, where you're pouring into them.
Yep.
That's what you need to do.
I think that's what I'm called to right now.
I think you're called to that till the day you die, Dave.
I think, we can get off on a tangent about God's calling in our life and all that, but it's real clear that this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. The mentoring, getting together with guys, and we're doing a lot of that.
That's good.
Yeah. Tuesday night, Wednesday noon, Wednesday
Oh, my
night,
word.
Saturday morning, Sunday morning.
You're not retired.
Not retired. No.
Wow.
It's just a different chapter, and it really is so cool. I'm just so blessed to be coming up on 80 here and kind of wondering about what the next chapter's looking like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think in life, this whole band of brothers mentorship thing is all about helping each other finish this chapter well.
I agree.
Together.
I agree.
And in life, that is relationship, right?
It is.
And that's not running when the fit hits the shan, right? I mean, it's just like, buddy, no, we're in this.
Took me a second to get what you said, but I got it. It took me a second. Right. That was awesome. I didn't know if you were having a stroke, but no, you were right there with it.
No, thanks for sticking with me, everybody.
Oh, wow.
But no, that's what gives you energy, you know, and that's what robs your energy, what gives you energy, and that's probably, if it's giving you energy, it's probably where God wants you to be right now.
Absolutely.
For me, this is it, and chatting with guys.
Why does it give you energy? What is it about it that when because you spend a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
When you're investing in guys in that way, what is it that gives you that energy? Why do you love it? Because you do. I can see it.
Well, and I think a lot of it is building the relationship. And I've never been a guy that's had a lot of friends at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a pretty small inner circle outside of my family. And, even though I'm an introvert, and I
don't believe you.
Well, it's absolutely and totally true. I can
really.
Yeah, I can fake it for a while, but my wife got me a book on, I forget the name of it, but it's about being an introvert in today's noisy world.
Wow.
And it's like really interesting.
Yeah.
And how we need the extroverts. How we need each other. And that's kind of this whole point of building this band of brothers. I've said it so often, if we all think alike, then a couple of us aren't necessary. I mean, it's just like, it may be easy, but it's not so much fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully we don't have to dwell much on politics or religion and get.
I don't think we're made for easy.
We're not.
I don't think.
And that's kind of the point. That is the point.
Come on.
It's just like it's outside your comfort zone. This is outside my comfort zone right here.
Yeah.
But it definitely is. But magic happens outside your comfort zone.
Absolutely. Miracles, magic. I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Let's call them miracles.
Yeah.
I mean, we can
can
take a half hour talking about that too.
Yeah.
But it's just like that. If we can pass that knowledge or whatever down to the younger guys, and I love, hanging out with 50-somethings, and I'm in a Sunday school class with 35s and 40-somethings, and it's just a blessing to me. And I think every now and then to them that I'm there as I don't know how we've set up society, churches and Sunday school classes, and how we hang with people our own age and our own thought pattern, our own demographics, and it's like,
well, and social media has even done that. You automatically are fed this.
I bet.
Yeah,
I'm not part of that, but it's just like it's not helpful long term, and it's not mind expanding, and it may be easy, but we're not built for easy.
No, we're not. And I think that easy, you know, I just was sharing something the other day, and I read a quote, and it said, I'm going to see if I can get this right. Don't shun what's hard. Face it. Yeah. It's God's gift. Yeah. And we don't like that, but if I'm being honest with you, everything in my life that has turned into success has come through hardship. Was just talking with a guy the other day, and he goes, well, you know, how did you learn to manage money like at this level? And I said, I screwed it up. And I mean, the reality was, and I was like, that's really painful. I don't want to be there again.
Doing that again.
Exactly. Yep. And, you know, sometimes in life, I think it kind of hits you in threes sometimes. It's like, you know, business, life, health. Like it's like boom, boom, boom. Yep. And the key is we're made to face it. Yep. I don't know how to do that without God. I don't know how to do that without that time. And so if that's a crutch or I'm weak, fine. It is. It's a crutch that I love. Yep. Yep. And the reality is it affects my life for the positive, and it brings me through. Like what you say about, you know, I think that we're meant to be with mentors. We're meant to be with men that are older than us. Yep. Because it does something. Yep. So you guys.
And the women have done that for generations way better than the men. I mean, we get together and watch football or hockey or something or soccer, and you know, how about them Steelers? You know, it's like it doesn't get too much deeper than that. Yeah. And that's just a sad thing. And I don't think it's from the Holy Spirit. I mean, I hate to blame stuff all the time on the devil, but it's just like, wow. Yeah. The noise, most of it's not from the Holy Spirit, right?
Well, you know, the noise is distracting, and you don't realize. And it's funny, the older you get, the noise quiets. But if you're not careful, and I'm not there yet, but I have related with different people, and I've seen this. The noise quiets away. You feel like your relevance leaves, and you end up alone. And it's like we're made, like a culture, society. People need men your age to be pouring into them, and we need those relationships in that way.
Yeah, and I think the tendency is that we don't know we need it. Yeah, it just. But now that I am the old guy, I'm just so grateful that a lot of that just happened, and I can't identify. I mean, I didn't even know what the word mentor meant. It wasn't a thing like it is now. You didn't have Men of Iron Ministries here really pushing that one-on-one. You know, get a guy that's 10 or 20 years older and a guy that's 10 or 20 years younger and do life together as a threesome. That's a good, for this chapter, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, and I think I get on my high horse, but it's not optional anymore. The world keeps getting noisier.
It does.
And this is no longer an optional activity as I would have thought in my earlier days. It's like, life's going to be better if you do that. It's like, wow, it's going to be worse if you don't. Yeah. Right now. It's just, and that's not a threat. That's just an absolute observation. Make your life better. Find a couple good guys to run life with. Yeah. For a while. I mean, this is not like a lifelong commitment, but for the next year or two, try it.
Well, and it shifts,
It does.
The key is to continue to have people in your life, but they're going to be different people at different times.
Yep.
One of my biggest struggles right now is, I've had mentors in my life, and to your point, like if you're listening, you seek them out.
Yeah.
Like seek them out, and it's not complicated. And this is one thing I'll just say about guys. Get a cup of coffee with someone.
Yep.
Sit down with someone.
Yep.
Talk, and it will evolve into that. Mm-hmm. And pick someone that you find successful. The reality is, when you find someone like that, if they've reached a certain point and you ask them for that, they want to give it.
Yeah.
It's in them. They want to give it, but you need to ask.
Yeah.
And if you don't ask, then they don't know, and then you miss out on it.
Yep.
And I think that's really essential. Well, Dave, I want to ask you a question. And I know we started light, we went really deep, we came back out, we went deep, and I so appreciate your time. I appreciate what you're doing. And we've talked about mistakes throughout this, but like, if there's a mistake that you've made in work or in life, would you be willing to share one of those with people that you've learned from that maybe others might be able to avoid? And you've already shared some, so I feel weird asking you this, but
I'm going to flip that a little bit.
Go for it.
I think I've been successful, looking back, been successful in surrounding myself with people.
Come on.
That know some things that I don't know, that are better at things than I am. Maybe expert in different fields that I need.
Yeah.
Some of them, and most of them I have to pay. You got lawyers and accountants and people like that. And I think I've been relatively good over the decades of assembling a team at Hawthorne Electric and in other areas. I was heavily in real estate starting in the early 70s before we had kids, and I was building that with a couple of friends, and finally got rid of our final property in that whole portfolio just a couple months ago. So I had real estate in 5 different states.
Wow.
And it was not a smart move. My dad, I just remember years ago, I was going to buy property out in Pittsburgh, and he said, "Why do you want to do that? It's too far." It'll be good, Dad. But he was right. It's too far. Anything that's out there more than 3-4 hour drive is kind of like too far. It's hard to manage, and you and I both know that stuff doesn't manage well when at a distance. You got to show up pretty often that keep things on the rails.
You do.
It's just it's not that you've assembled the wrong team. It's just they need guidance and they need dry balls. But anyhow, I've had a couple of flaws where I didn't necessarily get the saddle on the right horse.
Yeah.
And look, I was just kind of thinking about that earlier this week, how I stayed with those guys. Got embezzled twice. Wow. Big.
Wow.
Twice.
Wow.
And talk about how I was just pondering, why don't I hold a grudge?
Maybe forgiveness.
Yeah. But so my flaw in that regard was maybe holding on too long, maybe trusting too much, maybe not checking in often enough.
Yeah.
Because I'm very trusting.
Yeah.
And that's really helpful. I've
I've
always hated the whole cynical side of life, and we're kind of in that now where I'm getting more cynical. I quit watching the news like 4 years ago. And
That's probably the most smart thing you've ever done.
Probably, if I'm going to give you advice, get off the news. I was a news junkie, and
Me too.
life got a whole lot better when I dropped it. Now,
Yeah.
you got to stay a little bit informed, but probably the default is none would be okay. It's like...
Well, you talk about you're going to be 80 in 3 weeks. And I recently heard someone say there's two choices in life as you age. And I want to finish well. Mm-hmm. And this guy made this comment, and he goes, one, you get old and crusty. You get cynical, and you get old and crusty. And he said the other, you get more joyful with every day, more peace. And he was talking about, and you touched on this, and again, this podcast is about skilled trades, but I can't help but be about my faith. You talk about you were embezzled twice, and you don't hold a grudge. I think if we're going to choose to not get old and crusty, that means that you can't be cynical.
Yep.
And you have to understand forgiveness.
Yep.
What does forgiveness look like to Dave?
Well, number one, it's not forget. I mean, I was
that's
taught that
wise.
long ago, maybe in the church. If you haven't forgotten, you haven't forgiven. That's not from the Holy Spirit.
Agreed.
Lock that one in.
Yeah.
That because I'm not sure I got that early enough.
Yeah.
And so you won't forget.
Yeah.
It's less painful over time, but
I think that's the thing for me for forgiveness. I've had some people hurt me, and I agree with you. I think we shouldn't forget because, one, it's not humanly possible.
yeah,
And if you're forgetting it, you're not dealing with it. You're not facing it.
that's kind of the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
But I recently learned that forgiveness, it was a couple years ago, one of my mentors told me this. So I had a family member that did some things in my life that really wounded me. And every now and then they would be in my life, and it would rise back up. And I remember calling my mentor and being like, so I've forgiven him, and but all those feelings come back up, all those this, all that, and he said this to me, and maybe since you're close to 80, so was he. Maybe you'll agree or even have something to add. But he said to me, he goes, I had a similar thing in my life, and he said 20 years would go by, but the thoughts would come back up. And he said this, and it hit me. He said, I needed to forgive again. And it just really struck me, forgiveness is not a one-time thing.
No. Yeah.
How do you...
That's good, isn't it?
It is. Well, I mean, it's what Jesus said, 70 times 7.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I think that's huge in not becoming crusty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not pretty. I think you and I talk a lot, right? It's like, and I came across this acronym, think before you speak. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Now, very seldom in my life do all 5 of those things apply at once.
Wow.
But if there's only one, it may be true to me.
Yeah.
But if it's not helpful and it's not kind, I might want to be quiet for a while.
Come on.
It changes the way you talk.
Yeah.
It's really helped me.
Dave, I really appreciate your time here today and talking with us and sharing these things and being real. This is what this is about.
Yep.
And I thank you we call our podcast The Line, and we ask people to step up to the line.
Yeah.
And you have done that today in a way that I hope that you feel like we have honored your father and his heritage and his legacy.
Yep.
And I believe that you have shared with us today mentorship tools of success for those who are listening. You know, you talked about just saying no. You talked about mentorship and surrounding yourself with people that are where you want to be. You know, you might feel like you're going 100 miles an hour, but they're going 150, and that's what you want to be around. Yeah. And you talked about, you know, what it is to be successful in business, and that is relationship. You know, trust, having that where people want to work with you, not because of your price, but because of who you are and what you've done. And then you were honest with us about, you know, painful things in your life, and talked about the importance of gratitude and how to apply that. And then here lastly, you're talking with us about forgiveness and being able to move on into life. I think that you have an authority to speak because you're going to be 80 years old here, that not many of us do. And for that reason, I want to say thank you. I greatly appreciate it.
I appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you for stepping up to the line.
It's been a privilege.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Me too.